you suffer from anxiety? Ask your doctor about... Actually, don't. Try Vibe instead, the non-drug way to calm your nervous system. No crazy side effects, no floating, no feathers. Just gentle calm, without the side effects, like morphing into a dolphin. Vibe is energy therapy for your body, helping your nervous system reset naturally. Millions of therapy sessions delivered. Vibe. Calm without crazy. Side effects may include deeper sleep, calmer days, and feeling like yourself again.
Welcome to the year of the fire horse, a year of boldness, rapid transformation, and freedom. Do you feel like your big dream is impossible? Would you love to go from impossible to possible? Think about that dream right now. How does it feel? Scary? Did you hear yourself say, I can't do that? I'm not good enough. It could never happen for me. I don't have enough money. What if I told you differently? You can have that dream. You are more powerful and contain more potential than any circumstance, situation, or condition. Go to Leg Up Coaching and check it out. I help people identify and saddle those negative thoughts and get on the track and win at the races with their big dream. Think bravely, act boldly.
Well, welcome back, everybody, to another Mindful Monday. And I'm going to start by apologizing for my voice because I am on the tail end of a sinus infection, but it drying out. We're getting there. And as they say, the show must go on. But I want to tell you, I had the pleasure of meeting this lady over 5 years ago at a business event in Denver when I lived in Colorado. And, we only met a couple of times, but the one thing that was always clear was her heart, her nurturing spirit, and her passion for helping others. Sally Douglas, she's a true woman of wisdom and a beacon of hope for many. With 27 years as a multi-business owner, author, and coach, Sally brings a wealth of knowledge and an inspiring story that is bound to resonate with anyone striving for personal growth. Her journey is a testament to resilience and healing. She has triumphed over food addiction and body dysmorphia. She has dedicated her life to helping women reclaim their power and find peace in their bodies. Her extensive experience as a DreamBuilder coach and life mastery consultant allows her to equip others with the tools they need to navigate their own challenges. So please welcome Sally Douglas.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So happy to be here. Such an excitement here today.
Yeah,
we've already had a lot of laughs.
With a little extra, not too much, because then I'm going to be coughing up a lung. But anyway, I may mute myself out just so I don't ignore everybody. But Sally, maybe you can share with us a little bit about that journey and maybe define kind of what you mean by food addiction and body dysmorphia.
Wow. Well, it's been let me see. As I tell my daughter, I'm over 50, but she says, Mom, tell the darn truth. You're over 70. I'm like, well, 70 is over 50, darn it. And all my friends that are over 50 say, you should go with that. Go with the over 50. Yeah. I developed an eating disorder. I would say when I was around 12. And I had no idea what it was, actually, but I would eat food and throw up. Now, a lot of people out there, that's called bulimia. And then I remember when I was, after I'd had my daughter, and I continued on and off using this coping mechanism because I had I'm a big feeler and a deep thinker, and I had a lot of really big feelings, and I had no idea how to cope with them. And doing what I did was the way, okay? That was the way, and it was my secret way. Although what I didn't know is that my brother, my youngest brother, knew I was doing that. And I was in an inpatient treatment program for 8 weeks. And we had a family meeting afterwards, and my brother said, yeah, Sal, you've been doing that since you were 12. And I was 20, I was almost 30 when I was in the treatment program. Well, in the treatment program, they said, whatever you do, don't throw up. Whatever you do, don't throw up. Well, that worked for about, well, I was in the treatment program, and you get out in the world, they spit you out in the world, and you say, well, how am I going to deal with this? And I've been in therapy. I mean, I've done everything. I have actually 12 certifications learning how to cope with feelings. One of them is EFT, that's emotional freedom technique. The other one is a trauma memory solution working with HNLP, which is humanistic neuro linguistic psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but I learned this technique. I worked with that for a year. I have had a lot of trauma in my life. So I have been binge free. I've released over 60 pounds. I developed a program. It took me 30 years to develop the program, and I kept falling off the horse and getting back on. Metaphorically now, I'm a horsewoman, but metaphorically, developed the program, and now I take people through that program. And I always say to people, it's not the magic pill. It is a lot of work to go inside and identify what is happening inside you. What experiences have you had that created this body dysmorphia or another body hanging on to you, all this weight, which you can be unhappy with. But you know what? It's only your body. It's not who you are. So let me put it back to you, Laura.
Yeah, no, I mean, and actually it kind of reminds me, and I didn't even really think about it until you started bringing that up. I was in my teens when I was not happy with how heavy I was, and I didn't do the throwing up, but I kept shrinking what I was eating. And next thing you know, I got the where, if I went down, came up, all of a sudden I'd like lose my balance. I remember my mom taking me to the doctors, and they were telling her I was anorexic. And my God, I am now getting Joe Weider's weight gain stuffed down me, and you're not leaving the table till you eat everything. And I'm like, I didn't want to do it, but it didn't last for too long. I mean, I got through that, but I do remember that phase. But they were worried about me being anorexic because I was already tall. And so then they were talking about other complications and everything else they always looked out. But
yeah. In my course of the bulimia, there was a time when I was throwing up probably 12 to 15 times a day.
Oh my God.
And it went on and off. Sometimes it went through phases where it was only 3 or 4 times a day, sometimes 12 or 15. And here's what happens with a bulimic. So there are 4 or 5 different kinds. There are compulsive overeaters who just stay heavy. There is anorexia, where you don't eat anything, and that has complications that are really strange. There's bulimorexia, where you go from being bulimic and throwing up to not eating anything. That was the one I kind of drifted towards the most. And then there is bulimia. And then there's a one called pica. And I'm going to have the audience, if you have pica, I am very sorry. However, when we had COVID, pica is the eating disorder where people eat paper. Ooh. And when we had COVID, the first thing the grocery stores sold out of was what?
Paper. Toilet paper. Yep, toilet paper, yep.
And jokingly, I would say there are a lot of people with pica that we aren't even aware of. And again, if you have that, my apologies to make fun of it. However, I'd rather laugh than cry. So go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, no. So, what did you kind of discover? I mean, did you ever kind of discover or get to the root cause of why you started to be that way in the first place?
So for me, I had a lot of trauma in my life, and my book is called The Anatomy of a Binge. Why an eating disorder or an addiction is not your fault. And the reason for that is I've had a lot of trauma in my life. And when you have trauma, when you have negative experiences in your life or limiting beliefs, the brain sets up a behavior to protect you. Okay. And in that behavior, chances are it's not going to serve you as you go into your later adult life. And I don't mind telling people I was sexually abused when I was a child in the crib. It's called pre-verbal. That sexual abuse lasted for me until I was about 8. And then I continued to attract trauma into my life. I was a horsewoman. The year I left for college, 2 of my horses were killed in front of my house, one by a truck, one by a car. Think of Horse Whisperer. I cried the entire movie. My brother committed suicide. My other brother, I hate to say this, tried to kill my mother with an axe. Very traumatic life. And that's just the tipping point. That's just the highlights. So all of this is in the book. And I don't care if you've had 1 trauma or 100 traumas, and mine are certainly not as bad as some of the ones I've heard about. You have an effect. And maybe you don't overeat. Maybe you hold all those feelings in. Maybe you're a bomb waiting to explode. I hope you're seeking help. That's all I can say is I hope you're seeking help, because living with that is miserable. Living with that kind of issues, traumas in life is miserable. And I've actually been able to release all of that. And I'm the happiest I've ever been. So I just
was
want
going to say
there's hope.
I was going to say, I've known you for a good 5 years. I mean, I know we hadn't been in touch for lots after I had moved out of Colorado, but when you reached out and reconnected, it's like, I would have never known any of that about you. You were just always so caring and nurturing, happy, and just, very fun to be, comforting to be around, easy to talk to.
Yes, yes. And it's because I have pursued recovery, and I'm choking up here because when I look at what I've been through, my life is about recovery. Bless her heart, my mother did the absolute best she can. I've been through the mother trauma, the father trauma, all of that work, either with therapy or on my own. I am committed to helping people release this, excuse my French, shit that holds us back. I mean, we are worth so much more than we ever give ourselves credit for. And now that I have come to this, I own the things I do well. I do own them. So I don't want to be, pretend like I'm a big deal, big person on campus or anything, but I'm a good person. I own that now. I'm okay to say that. There was a time when you would tell me that, and I'm like, oh, no, that's not me. No, I wouldn't own it. And I do now. And I think we all deserve to own our goodness. So
we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you as well, Laura.
Yeah. There's a lot of good people out there.
There are.
Just gotta
and
find
there are good people who don't acknowledge themselves.
True.
That's what I really want to say. There are good people that won't acknowledge themselves because they have these things called limiting beliefs that hold them back. And I just want to see people fly. I really do. I want to see people fly.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you discovered in your journey, and what has helped you the most?
I would say everything I've done has helped me the most. So it's always been a process. Whatever came across my desk, what I did is I went to in 2015. I went to a school, equine school, learning how to getting a certification working with horses. I love horses. Now, here's what happened when I lost my 2 horses. I went to college in 1970. Gosh, I went to college in 1970. That summer and that fall, the loss of my 2 horses was 5 months apart. I left my equestrian career, and I was very good at what I did. I had enough points to show at Madison Square Garden. I was committed. I was very good. I was what they call proprioceptive. I could watch something and mimic it and do it well. I took a left. I got into drugs, sex, and rock and roll. Well, guess what? That didn't work. So then I got into recovery. But what has worked best? So I started my journey when someone, I noticed this woman, my daughter was 6. I was a brownie teacher. I, this woman came in and she was so happy. All the time she was so happy. And one day I got the courage up to say, "You're so happy. What is your secret?" She said, "Can I come and talk to you?" Well, she was in Al-Anon. She was recovering. Her husband was addicted to prescription drugs. And when she gave me the whole spiel, I realized that everyone in my life that I knew were alcoholics, not me, because alcohol, I wanted to always be in control. Food, I could be in control with food. I could
Right.
be responsible, but I couldn't be in control with alcohol. So that wasn't my drug of choice. But everyone else including my husband, my mother, I questioned my father, my uncles. I mean, I didn't know anybody that wasn't alcoholic. And that was the beginning of my journey. And I pursued Al Anon at that point. Then I left my husband, moved back to Denver. I was living in eastern Colorado, moved back to Denver, and I got into an inpatient treatment program for the eating disorder. I had no idea that was going to happen. I went to a therapist to get a little help for me and my daughter because the husband was an alcoholic. And I didn't realize how impactful my eating disorder was in that big picture. And the ball just started rolling. I got into my own anonymous program, Overeaters Anonymous. I encourage anyone and everyone. I went to AA because the recovering alcoholics work a strong program. What I noticed in OA is people, it was so difficult. It's so difficult. You know, AA, you put the plug on the jug. In OA, you have to let the lion out of the cage 3 times a day. It is not the easiest addiction to recover from.
Right.
I went to Narcotics Anonymous. I wanted to make sure if I did some cocaine or I did some pot, it wasn't an addiction. I went to Sex Addicts Anonymous. No, I'm a love addict, not a sex addict. I went to adult children of alcoholics. Absolutely. I was an adult child. I went to, I just did all of them. I can't even remember all of them now. And that was about a 6-year period. And then I said, okay, I don't want to get addicted to meetings. So I ended that, continued going. I was still in therapy, continued healing, read all the self-help books because I really wanted to know what was going on with me, and continued healing, continued discovering, continued being in pain. It is not, it's easy, it's simple, but it's not easy because when you're in pain, then after that you're growing. But when you look inside at all the things that you've decided about yourself, it's painful.
Yeah.
So then came the horses, then came EFT, then came the trauma release certification, Ho'oponopono, that's learning how to love yourself. There were just so many, I can't even list them. I should have written them down before I started.
No, you're fine.
Right.
And that's a good point to make though, is that it's always a process. You
It's a
know,
pro-
you may be done with something, you may want to fix something, but there is no quick fix. I know a lot of people rely on medication and stuff to think it's going to fix it, but it doesn't fix it. It just covers it and masks the issue,
Yeah,
masks the problem. If you
yeah,
don't address the root cause, which you've done a lot of work to try to get to the root causes
yeah,
and how
yeah.
to and get to that. So I commend you for that because it is a process. And I always think we're constantly learning anyway.
Constantly learning. And I don't ever want to not learn. I mean, I'm reading. I choose now, my passion is helping people find their dreams. I did a program called DreamBuilder, Mary Morrissey. And basically, if anyone is familiar with Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, Esther and Abraham, I'll take all the woo woo in the world because if it works for me, I'm all about the woo woo. I have crystals in each corner of my yard because why not?
Right.
Let's use all of it, right? But I teach the how of all those programs, and I absolutely love what I do. And all of my background then, people come to me, they want their dreams, something's holding them back. I have a lot of background in how to get past limiting beliefs. And I'm just, I am really good at what I do because I really want to be good at what I do. So, anyway.
Well, and you're living proof. You've came through so much. So, yeah. So let's fast forward because we have a totally different Sally here today
Good.
from what you've been through. So tell us a little bit about your leg up coaching and how you work with people. I mean, yeah. Tell us some more about that.
So right now I am what they call a DreamBuilder coach, and there are 10 principles in the program. I'll give you a couple of them now. To build a dream, and this is the kind of dream that you tuck in the back of your mind, in the back of the closet. You know, oh, that could never happen for me. Just like in the little video. Oh, yes, it can. Let me first tell you the experience I had, which got me into that program. I wanted to move. I wanted to sell my house and move. And I love the Pacific Northwest. I love the clouds. I'm okay with the rain. Not fun mucking around in horse poop in the rain, but that's okay. I went out for a vacation, and I wasn't looking, but I found a property, and I'm like, oh, that would work. That would work. However, I came home and I said, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to do the process of manifestation. I started living on that property. She sent me a video of it. I took I printed out each picture of there was a stream running through it. It was all green, a little tiny house, the driveway. I could imagine myself planting flowers and having enough clearing for the horses. I found a canvas tent that I could put up for them to have, from the weather. And it's not real harsh winters out there, so they would be fine doing, being in the, just pulling into a tent to get out of the rain. A canvas tent just to store the hay. It was all doable. And then I realized I didn't have quite enough money for that property with the equity I have in my house. So then I said, okay. Well, then I ran into the program DreamBuilders, and it was very affordable. It was no coaching, nothing, just the program. I said, do this. I started working on the 12 weeks. The first thing that happens is you design the dream just like you design a blueprint for a house. And you're very specific, like, okay, I had the pictures of the property. Here's where I'm going to put the two canvas tents. Here's where I'm going to put another canvas tent for me to drive my car into. Here's where I would store the thing. Here's where I need to build the fence for my dog. My dog's a runner, so I had to have a fence for the dog. There was so much thickness in the trees. Here's how I'm going to put up a fence for the horses. I mean, I was living that dream. The next part of the dream is looking into deciding for it. Well, I'd already decided. I love the Pacific Northwest. The next part of the program is learning how to deal with your limiting beliefs or limiting paradigms. And the biggest one that comes up with everyone is fear. I learned how to deal with the fear. It's called befriending your fear, and there's lots of tools for that. And then the next part that came up for me, which I had a little fear about, is that I had some of the money, but I didn't have all the money. And I looked into getting financing, traditional financing. Well, I didn't have an income to take out there with me. And they want to see an income.
Right.
I said, maybe they would finance the balance, right? Maybe that. And I started feeling into that and manifesting it. And didn't they write me an email that said, oh my gosh, we just had an offer. They were going to give us $50,000 down, and we asked us to finance for the next 5 years. And I wrote back and I said, I was thinking 200 down and finance me for 3 years. We said, we love that. I got on a plane. I flew out there. I said, I have to see this. Well, then my heart sank because I know how to drive a Bobcat. I literally do.
Right.
It needed a bulldozer.
Oh,
And
no.
the fear came up way too much for the bulldozer. So I came home and I didn't move, which is fine because I'm okay because I got back with you, Laura. I was going to call you anyway. I knew right away when I was doing this program, I really wanted to talk to Laura about, because your whole thing is self-care. And what I see so much happening in the world where people don't take care of themselves is because of limiting beliefs. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And as I'm like taking care of myself, I said, I got to go back and talk to Laura because this is all about her. So anyway, needless to say, I invested in becoming a coach in this program. And it is so up my alley. I've been working on personal development and metaphysics for 40 some years. And Mary Morrissey, the developer of this program, has been working on personal development and putting this program together for 40. Actually, I just heard the other day, 50 years now.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does. 10 years. Whoa, there it went. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's it. So I'd love to have you answer a little bit about the self-care because I just talked to you about the limiting beliefs.
Well, and I think that's something that helps us a lot. I find it a lot across a lot of people because we all need that gentle reminder. We all have play those bad records and stuff in our head. And I believe it was by Henry Ford where he says, whether you can or you can't, you're
Think
right.
you can, think you can't, you're right.
You're
Absolutely.
right. I'm not here to
go-to.
tell you any different, but if you tell yourself different, you know, it's changing those words, right? It's like when someone says, "Oh, I can't do this." Well, you're right because you already told yourself. But instead of saying "I can't," why not tell yourself, "How can I do this?"
Right.
Because you'd rather have your brain go to work on how you can do something rather than reassuring yourself that you can't.
Yeah.
And it's simple. It's just words.
It's simple. However, we have to awaken people to realize that they can make that difference and change. I want to tell you, I had a double knee replacement diagnosis. I was 2 years bedridden in my journey, and in that period of time, part of what the problem is, I had a lot of pain in my knees, and I went to the doctor, like most people do. I'm not into Western medicine, but I'll take whatever you tell me because then I'm going to go and heal my own self. I had a double knee replacement diagnosis. The pain was so bad, I did call the surgeon. I said, "How long will it take you to get me on the table?" He said, "A month." I said, "Okay, I'll call you back." I hung up. I went deeper into what was going on. I realized that I was not talking to myself very kindly. I changed the way, and this was a big swing for me because I was really not talking to myself very kindly. I changed the way I was talking to myself, and within 3 days, the pain went away. Now, I was working with a German new medicine doc, and I said, I'm not telling her. We had our meeting. I didn't tell her. I said, I got to make sure this is for real because I don't want to tell her and then tomorrow the pain comes back.
Right.
Next week was 10 days. We got on the phone. I said, I can't believe it. You'll never believe what happened. I talked to myself differently and the pain went away and it has never come back. It's been 3 years. Amazing. And it's just a matter of being aware of how you're talking to yourself. And there's a thing, I love it. It's by Dr. Amen. Dr. Amen. It's called ants. And you know what ants are, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's called automatic negative thinking, ANT. We're all guilty of that because we're built with bias, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now I have another one I call AUNTS, automatic unkind negative thinking. That's what we do to ourselves. So
that is very true, and we all get in there. But it's fine that you get there. We're not saying we stay happy, we stay positive all the time. Life is going to smack you in the face, but if you recognize it, you can make those shifts instead of getting into the full-on pity party and trying to drag everyone else into your pity party with you, because then all you're doing is repeating that negative cycle, and just that doesn't go very far.
That's awesome. Yes, I love that. Yes, and there's another saying that I love. Life is what happens when we're making other plans. Now, that's a line in a song by John Lennon. So between Henry Ford and John Lennon, I live my life, right? So,
Yeah, it's amazing how things, different things connect with different people, which I love, because things that work for me or work for you may not work for somebody
yeah,
else. But
yeah, yeah.
and I know there's a lot of people that call it woo woo and stuff, but I'm sorry, woo woo has been around for thousands of years
Oh,
and
thousands, thousands. I'll
thousands.
take all the woo woo I can get. I tell you, I'll just do woo woo. I'll just take it all because what I do now and what you're talking about is now science. It's mindfulness. It has been proven well, you can't prove in science. You can only support. But it has been supported very deeply now in science that all of this thinking, how we are, and I mean, look at The Secret when they talk about how all the millionaires in the world, they didn't just stumble into their money, or if they did, great for them, great. They had a vision and they had a clear, they what do I want to call it? They had a clear vision and I can't remember what to call it. Oh, there's my over 50. I'm not required. Burning desire. That's
Burning
it.
desire or drive.
Burning
Yeah.
desire and a clear vision.
Hmm.
And if you don't have a burning desire, probably it's because of your limiting beliefs. So in my program, that's what I help you with. You get the clear vision.
Oh
We
yeah.
clear away the limiting beliefs. Then you get the burning desire. I mean, that's kind of how that works. And I love the science of it. The science.
Well,
So
and that's important too, is to help people dream again, because when you were kids and when you were young, most
we
of us
all,
had all kinds of dreams of what we were going to do.
course.
But then as you get older, we seem to have these responsibilities or what we think we're supposed to do. And we stop doing the things we love, which is why I
Absolutely.
always say if what you're doing does not light you up, you really need to take another look at that, because life is too precious to go through just trying to make ends meet when you're not really happy. Because as you've proven, it takes a toll on your body. It takes a toll on your health, your life.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
And there's a book, I usually keep it really right next to my desk. The Body Keeps Score by Kolk. Have you read that?
I have not,
Uh,
but I've heard of it.
oh my gosh. He talks about, and there's another thing called ACEs, I'm sorry, adverse child experiences. They have, again, found in science that when you've had a traumatic childhood, a very high percentage of these people come down with cancer and some of the really heart disease because of your adverse childhood experiences, trauma, negative thinking. Hey, and our parents did the best they could, and that's one of the things that I've come to realize. My parents did the best they could. I'll take what worked, but I'm leaving the rest.
Hmm.
Take what worked, I'm leaving the rest. Yeah. So
Yeah. And there is actually science, maybe not science as far as where you might want to research it, but I had a gentleman on the show, Leland Holgate, the Willful Warrior. He was quadriplegic. He was dead for over 3 minutes and 48 seconds that they resuscitated. Fascinating, story, because yeah, they were in the hospital, but the hospital was just ready to just throw him in a wheelchair, do this, do that. And long story short, though, he found that he was able to regain all of his own mobility. Some of it with the yoga and breath work. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it started with yoga, but a lot of it's all breath work. And the breath work is how he got into the neuroscience, because most of us are
neuroscience.
walking
Yeah.
around with the dysregulated nervous
Yeah.
system. We're staying in fight and flight. We're not in the rest and relax and stuff. We're just always, something happens and your nervous system just goes. But when you can calm that and keep it, calm and centered, you can actually do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, you and I are very much the same. I had a lady that asked me, "Oh, did you go to the hospital or go to the doctors and get antibiotics for your sinus infection?" I said, "No, I haven't. For one, I haven't been any kind of illness in over 3 years, and if I do get something, it's normally a sinus infection." And I said, "No, I have my natural remedies. I know what to
Right.
do to take
Right.
care of it.
Right.
I'll get rid of it myself." So,
There you go. And in my German new medicine doc, I did get a cold and I did go to the doctor. I wanted to make sure I didn't get pneumonia, but she gave me the antibiotics and I just brought them home and I stuck them in my closet because by the time the antibiotics start working, the cold is probably dissolved already.
Yeah.
So that's the body's way of healing itself.
Oh yeah,
So when
I'm next to a honey farm. Honey's a natural
oh,
antibiotic.
there
So I
you
make
go.
sure I have the honey and the ginger and stuff.
There
But
you go. You've got the
and I,
ginger.
like I said, I am not against Western medicine either. It has its place. My fiance had to go on in-home IV antibiotics, and if I'm ever on them, then I make sure I've got good pre and probiotics because
There you go.
you have to
Pre's and
offset
pros.
it because they're
Right.
stripping everything out of your
Yeah.
system, and you need the good stuff to
Right.
heal and to go on. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, I don't know how much time we have, but there's are we good on
Oh yeah,
time?
we still got 20
Okay.
minutes. You're good.
Oh, lovely. So there's another Dr. Joe Dispenza. Are you familiar with him?
I am
Right.
familiar with
So
him.
he was riding his bicycle and he was hit by a car and ended up in the hospital, and they told him he'd never walk again. And he is the one that started this whole quantum, getting into the quantum and neuro biology and neuroplasticity, and trained his brain. And he now goes out and teaches people how to do what he learned how to do
Mhm.
because he now walks. And he's had miraculous experiences with people coming to him he loves big groups, in wheelchairs, blind. I mean, it's almost like a Jesus Christ moment where he has helped them heal themselves through their entire thought process. And that stuff is real. That is real. It is not, it is, you might want to call it woo woo, but
Ooh,
these people are walking, talking testimonials.
yeah.
You cannot dispute that, you know?
No.
And, and if you would allow yourself to get that far with your brain, I mean, I am still working on something in my body that is in the process of healing. I did go to a medical intuitive, and I think I asked you when we were talking if you knew what that was. That's a person, and there are a lot of them out there in the world that can, on Zoom, on the phone, they can cue into your body energetically and say, you have, not to me now, you have cancer in your liver, or you have a spot on your lung, or you've got something going on in your heart. And then it's up to you. And a horse, by the way, can do the same thing. It's called equidetecting. Then you go and work on it. So in the German medicine, I've been working on, I have pain in the back of my knees. And I've done PT, and I'm still working in PT. I do my PT every day religiously. I said, I don't know. I cannot identify what's going on, the pain in the back of the knees, because the front I healed.
Right.
And after about the third session, she said, Sally, you're holding on to guilt. And I said, well, I don't experience guilt in my life. Well, that was in the moment, right?
Right.
Have I gone back to how my mother brought me up? Bless your heart, Mom. You did the best you could. I have no bad feelings about it. However, I was a guilt-ridden kid. You know, if you can't do this for me, I can't be this for you. And I'm like, guilty, guilty, guilty. And so every time I have the pain, I say, I'm releasing the guilt, releasing the guilt, releasing the guilt. And I would say within 3 weeks of her identifying the guilt, I was then about 85% healed. So, tell
Yeah.
me it's woo-woo. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, I
Tell me.
know. It's hard for people
Okay,
to
all I
believe,
can get.
but previous traumas, things we've been through,
Yeah,
if they're stuck in your body,
absolutely.
they will cause you physical ailments and make you sick. But
Yeah.
so let's go back to, I mean, because you have faced a lot of challenges. So how did you do all that and balancing your professional with your personal journey of recovery? How did you overcome them?
Oh, this is the best part. So, I have, I, my, let me see, it was 27 years ago. I was working towards getting my Series 7 in the stock market. Okay. I had transitioned from being a private chef for 11 years. And then I said, I think I want to go into the stock market because I want to make a lot of money. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got hired right away as an assistant. And my daughter happened to work in the building adjacent to that in downtown Denver. And I would meet her for lunch. And, the first month or so was, great. I was learning. And then I started the class learning how to get my Series 7. And I didn't want a 70. You had to have a 70 to get your Series 7. I wanted a 97. I'm not going to go 70. No. So I had to take the class like 3 times because I had no previous experience about what this Series 7 was to tie it into anything I already knew. And then life set in, and I'd meet my daughter for lunch, and it would be a beautiful fall day, and I'd be crying because I hated what I was doing. Didn't like working for someone else, and I'd worked for someone else my entire life. And I'm really good at working for someone else, but I didn't like it. And I said to myself, about the 3rd month, I'd been there 7 months, and finally I said, you know what? I'm going to quit my job. I have enough money. I'm okay. I'll be able to quit my job and figure out what I'm going to do the rest of my life this time, because every time I figure out I'm going to do something, I'll be doing this the rest of my life. Well, that was 11 years of private chefing. That wasn't it either. And I quit my job on a Friday. I gave my 2-week notice, just like a good girl would, right? And I was walking into the office Monday, and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to clean houses because I'm really good at doing this. Never done it before. And I walked into the office, and I started telling everyone I'd had relationships with all these people. Everyone loved me. They asked me, please don't leave. I'm like, cannot stay here. I'm so unhappy. I cry every day at lunch with my daughter.
That's a good sign that you're not happy.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even in the beginning. I wasn't even recognizing that's a sign, right? I just knew I wasn't happy. And by the time I left there 2 weeks later, I had a full schedule of cleaning people. Started on my job, and about 3 months in, and I'm getting to the how this happened for me. About 3 months in, I was waking up one morning, and I was like, I think I'm going to sleep another hour. And I said, you know what? I would rather I'd rather die than ever work for someone else again. And that was the beginning of my becoming self-employed. So you asked me how I got into it. This was an opportunity for me to do a lot of healing because there was no one around. And I could do my own thing. I could take my time. And I was very good at what I did. I'm very fast. I was making a lot of money. And so all of the continued self-help and going to programs and seeing therapists and taking 3-day events, I kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And today, 27 years later, I still have 2 clients. I just talked to someone yesterday about giving these clients to this other girl who has a cleaning business because I really want to be coaching full time because I am really good at it because I've had so many negative life experiences and I have changed myself. So that what I was getting to is it gave me 27 years of the ability to grow and not have to be under someone else's thumb while I was trying to heal.
Right.
So that's what worked for me. If you're in a job, a job, and I call it JOB, is joy of being. Shift your attitude, joy of being, right?
Instead of just over broke.
I say self-employed.
Right. We always called it just over broke, but yeah.
No. I want to call it joy of being because
I get that. Yeah.
Joy of being. I love acronyms too. So the AMPS, that was my favorite one. So then when I was in 2012, I was thinking about this morning. I had a vision board. Just for giggles and grins, I put a horse on that vision board. Well, back up a couple of months, I decided there was something. I was leaving my 3rd husband. I'm sorry, I've been married 3 times. M in marriage, M for mistake. Yep, they both go together. I said, there's something really missing in my life. And I said, and it took me a couple of days, and I couldn't identify what it was. Well, what it was, I had been without horses for 50 years because the trauma of losing my 2 horses I had 5 horses. The trauma of the death of those 2 horses said, I don't ever want to go here again. And what I did is I put an ad in Craigslist, and I said, I'll trade cleaning your house for horseback riding lessons, right? Sure enough, I got a person, started riding, and then just out of giggles, I put a horse on that vision board. And it was, let's see, that was in January because you do your vision board on New Year's, right? Okay. Teddy came into my life in February. And I walked in the barn one day and I looked at this horse. And now he was having his feet soaked in Epsom salts because he had a bruise inside of his foot. He was the most gorgeous animal I had ever put my eyes on. And I went right over and he went right for me and we were bonded. Oh, it was amazing. It brings tears to my eyes. And I helped them heal this horse who was now non-rideable because he had thrown the owner off so many times. She got her hand caught in the lead rope and he dragged her around the arena. He was a bucker, a bronco. He was a rear horse. Everyone was afraid to get close to him. Not me. I walked right up to him. Well, 5 months later, I left the barn with that horse. And I can't even remember why I'm going for this story, but what'd you ask me?
No, it's okay. And we're going to be running out of time soon. But,
okay, good.
But no, I mean, and that brings up another point is because, well, I know horses vibrate at a certain vibration.
I want to tell you that story. Do we have time for that?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
So when I was in school working with my certification, I ran across an organization called HeartMath, heartmath.org. I don't know the woo-woo got me there. They had done an experiment with horses and wondered how horses were so healing. So a horse has a resting heart rate of 28 to 33 beats a minute. I might be off a beat or two, if you forgive me, vets out there. And the average resting heart rate of a human being is, and most people don't know this, 68 to 72, maybe I'm off a few beats. When you're within 40 feet of a horse, their heart rate slows yours down. You actually go into the parasympathetic. And that is the rest, digest, heal, and create mode. And when I learned that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wanted all my fellow students to know that. We're not interested in that. We like the other stuff better. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. But I love that. And I've told so many people that story and people are astounded.
Oh, I know a lot of equine therapists that work with the horses and with people, and it's amazing how it can help them to get through their traumas. And just like Teddy gravitated to you and you gravitated to Teddy, they know there's that vibration, there's that energy.
There's that vibration. There's that energy. I love it. I love it.
We got about 5 minutes left, Sally. So share with us, please, of how you're helping people today, or what advice would you give someone who feels trapped in their own struggles?
Oh, what advice? Okay. So really what I'd like to invite you to do is eventually get my book, because the book is about all the trauma that I've had in my life. The second part of the book is how I recovered and all the details, all the books, not all the books, because God, I read so many, I don't think I can remember all of them, but it's definitely going to give you a foundation of recovery. The other thing is, and I'm not tooting my own horn here, if you can do it yourself, by all means, do it yourself. I strongly recommend a coach or a therapist. I right now still have a therapist. I only call in when I need a tune-up. I haven't needed a tune-up in probably 10 years. I hope my therapist is still alive. I should reach out to her. But the horses give me so much, because I do work with the horses myself. And eventually my current business will be using horses in the current business as well. Um, Go to my email me on my email address. It's info@legup.coach. They actually have a .coach now, not .com. I will put you on the waiting list for the book. Glad to, because there's a lot of healing. I can teach you. I tell you where to go to learn how to do tapping, EFT. If you don't believe in tapping because you think you're hitting yourself, just put your hand on the modality. You don't need to hit yourself. And this has been practiced by Eastern medicine for thousands of years, thousands of years. Where else could they go? Books. You will find, if you search, you'll find programs that offer, if you can't afford, this is always what I go, because I tried to do the best I could with what I had, and I didn't have a lot, so I did a lot on my own. Or take my program and manifest $1 million, and then you can start the healing process. But yeah, that would be what I would recommend.
Yeah. Well, and all coaches, every coach that I know of has a coach. So it's
Absolutely.
just
I have a
because you're a
couple
coach
coaches.
doesn't mean, you've got it all, but there's always a coach that can help you get to that next level. And I really want to thank you for being so vulnerable and open and sharing this with everybody, because there's many people out there, I believe, that are struggling with some kind of
I
addiction
know.
or another.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can do it yourself, and sometimes that's great, but I find things go better when you have the right, I call it my tribe, or the right support system,
Mine
or
is the hope.
accountability, whatever you want to call it. But, and especially if you have someone that has walked that path,
Yeah.
before, then they're going to be more familiar with what you're going through.
Right. Right. Okay, I do see. Yes, one of the things that I was talking about the other day is bless people's hearts who want to go into therapy and become a psychotherapist or a psychologist or whatever. But if they haven't walked the walk, how can you help understand? How do you really understand what someone is struggling with? To be an alcoholic coach, if you have not been an alcoholic, how do you really understand the depth? And these addictions are deep. They're not just surface. If they're surface, great. If you've just acquired an addiction, get on the horse and ride away right now. But if you've had it for years and years and years, and you've probably put yourself down for those years and years and years, you've probably maligned yourself terribly because if you could have fixed it, you would have. If you could have, you would have. So, there's lots of ways to get on the horse and get away and get out. So,
Yeah, no, I love that too. But it is true. It is very true. And I think I stopped using the term understand, because I would rather say relate. Because even like
yeah,
I've lost my husband, my mom has lost my dad, which is her husband,
yeah,
but you're a totally different person. You have totally different
yeah,
relationships. So I can
right.
relate to what they're going through,
There
but I'm
you go.
not going to say that I understand, because I'm
Sure.
not them, not in their
I love
skin.
that. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a beautiful
Yeah.
one. I'm going to
Yeah.
change that right now, because there's another thing called the language of success. And the words we use have power, and the word, how we put it, and that type of thing. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And most important is the words that you're telling yourself. So,
oh, it is. Absolutely.
yep. So,
Absolutely.
Sally, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And everyone, I hope you got something from this, and know that you can reach out to Sally if you're struggling, or if you know that someone's struggling, because she's been through a lot. So, I'm pretty sure she's a good one and can be able to relate to what you're going through.
Relate. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Awesome.
So
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Laura.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us on this Mindful Monday. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next time.